Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing fantastically well. It is Connor here, and I'm delighted to tell you that we have a sponsor on the channel. Very, very exciting news in the Leeds community as well. Okay, so look, if you've ever wanted to make money every day from the Forex market, PS guys, this is what I try and do. If I can, I'm not great at it, but I try to do it. And you don't know where to start. I've got the ideal solution for you. Listen, go visit our sponsors at superleadsforex.com and see yourself how you could start making a 20% to 30% return on your money every month and on 100% autopilot with your very own Forex trading robot, which is absolutely mad because I didn't even know they did these sorts of things. And there's absolutely no previous trading experience needed, and literally anybody can do it. It's mad. It really is mad. And better still, you can test drive this cash cranking system for yourself on your own PC or laptop free of charge. 30 days, so you have absolutely nothing to lose, Leeds fans. You can get all this exciting info right now. Link in the description at superleadsforex.com. You've got to check it out. These guys have helped me through a fair few things in the Leeds community, which is great to hear. Now, what else is great to hear? Leeds United's returning bodies. Leeds United look to be saying hello to Patrick Bamford and Luke Ayling in that starting 11, hopefully this weekend against Brentford. A massive boost from Marcelo Bielsa'S press conference, which also added that Pascal Struijk's injury wasn't as serious as first expected. Fabulous news for Leeds United. This is probably the strongest squad we've had this season going into this game. And it's brilliant at last, you know, when they all come at buses, don't they? When one comes, they all come. And we've had Luke Ayling now, obviously Pascal Struijk, who a lot of us were a little bit nervy about. And now Patrick Bamford as well. Luke Ayling is someone who's gone underneath the radar. But what I do want to say, guys, is with regards to these two in particular, Luke Ayling and Patrick Bamford, they didn't have the best start to the season. Now, everybody's turning around and saying, oh, they're going to be our saviours. They're going to be this, that, and the other, which I do understand, but you've got to take it with a pinch of salt. You know, they're not going to come back and be firing straight away. Luke Ayling, if you've ever seen Luke Ayling come back from injury, it takes him 3 or 4 games to really get back into it. Patrick Bamford has a lot of pressure on his shoulders now. His movement is going to be absolutely idyllic for Leeds United in terms of pressing from the front. We don't have to utilise the Dan James mould, you know, for much longer, which is going to be really, really beneficial to Leeds United. Because I think especially in the 3-3-1-3 system, when you bypass the midfield and you go long, which Leeds have done a lot this year, it's impossible. You know, playing long to Dan James against Dunk and Webster was just, it didn't make any sense. So, yeah, hopefully that experiment goes out of the window. And we've actually got a fully fledged striker back who, by the way, has scored 17 goals last season. You take 17 goals out of any team in the division, they're in trouble. And we've managed to really stay afloat without our lead marksman, really. So it's massive credit to Leeds, but having him back now, he's been out for 9 games, and having him back is only going to be beneficial. You know, he didn't have a great start to the season, but he still got 3 assists. You know, he's still got a goal, you know, and that's in, 5-6 games. So he was still contributing every single time to goals. Rafinha's scored 6 goals this season. He hasn't got an assist. Believe that. Believe it or not, Rafa's not got an assist. That is going to go up when Patrick Bamford is back, because Patrick Bamford, as you heard from numerous sources this week, apparently he said to Joe Gelhardt after the Tottenham game, stay in the box, stay in and around the box. You drop in deep to get the ball. This is what Tyler Roberts does as well in the centre forward position. He drops deep. Dan James just isn't tall enough, you know. And Joe Gelhardt, as I say, drops deep. Rodrigo does the exact same. So someone actually been off the shoulder of the defender, you know, someone who's looking to run in behind is going to be a massive, massive help to Leeds. It's going to aid the wingers massively as well. You know, I keep using that term massively. It's because it's just going to be such an enormous boost overall. But if he is to come back and come back into the fold at the weekend, I think it's going to be a big bonus for Leeds United. But in terms of a tactical perspective, it's really, really interesting. And I'm going to focus on our man, Pontus Jansson. Now, I'll tell you what, we'll focus a little bit more on Patrick Bamford and Luke Ayling as well. And when I've not really explained that fully, when we talk about the wingers and them being helped by Bamford being back into the starting 11, when I say in and around the box, and we have other strikers who drop deep and try to receive the ball and try get involved in the game, i.e. Harry Kane in the midfield and all that sort of stuff, Bamford just stays in and around that position. Now, why that's beneficial for the wingers is because they're able to just whip the ball in straight away. And I think Leeds United's wingers have been massively hesitant this year, a la Jack Harrison, who has really, really struggled, in my opinion, without Patrick Bamford there. So he's going to be hugely aided by that. I don't think Jack Harrison should start over Dan James, to be honest, from what I've seen this season. But in general, they're going to be massively aided. And you've not really seen the Dan James-Patrick Bamford partnership at all either. On the counter-attack, that's going to be absolutely exhilarating. Patrick Bamford, who is deceptively quick, and Rafinha and Dan James as a counter-attack is going to be frightening for some teams. And I think Dan James is massively going to be helped by that. But Luke Ayling as well. We know with Luke, as I've said at the start, it takes 5 or 6 games to really get back into it. But I think even we saw in that Manchester City under-23 game, that overlap that he does, getting to the byline, cutting it back. We've literally got a cohesive partnership there in terms of Luke Ayling doing that, overlapping Rafinha, which has been hugely missed this year in terms of Leeds overloading, and Leeds been predictable, and opposition wingers and fullbacks been able to completely isolate Rafinha because Leeds have no other threats. Luke Ayling, by God, he's a fullback, but he's a threat. If he's getting to the byline and cutting it back, that's only going to be beneficial as well. So massive benefits for Leeds United at the press conference. Pascal Struijk as well. It's going to be fascinating to see what Bielsa does in terms of, does he start with Junior Firpo at left back, or does he start with Pascal Struijk? Leeds were massively on the offensive in that second half against Crystal Palace, and Crystal Palace sat back for me. And I don't know why they did that, but they were time wasting from the 66th minute onwards. So, in my opinion, they deserve to lose the game because there's no attacking impetus there. And you don't go into football games for me and just sit back and try, something house a result. So yeah, they deserve to lose that game on that premise, to be honest with you. But I know Brentford won't do that. Now, there's a lot of people talking about, the huge boost today and Brentford in general, but Brentford are a very good team. And, that's something to take away from this. I thought Palace was going to be a tougher game. I think I've said this before as well. I think we were talking on the blue, white and yellow, myself and Joe Donahue, and Joe was discussing the impact of James McArthur as well in that midfield with Conor Gallagher. And this is to take absolutely nothing away from Leeds United's performance, but McArthur being missing from that midfield partnership with Conor Gallagher didn't give Gallagher the license to go forward as much as he has done when McArthur's there to sort of, clean up, I guess, which was what we see Calvin Phillips do all the time. And now we've got a real cohesive partnership with him and Adam Forshaw, and I think they were missing that link. So what I'm trying to say is, comparatively, Brentford won't have that missing link. The goalkeeper's out. Obviously, Josh De Silva's out. Christoph Ajer as well, who they bought from Celtic, is out as well. But in general, aside from that, it's a full-strength Brentford side. They played only last night, losing 2-0 to Tottenham, which is going to be, once again, a massive beneficiary to Leeds United because we've had an extra 2 days rest. So it's all looking rosy, but I'm not taking this lot lightly. It's never an easy game. Thomas Frank knows how to play against Bielsa. We had a brand new Patrick Vieira coming up against Marcelo Bielsa the other night, and he will have learned something out of that game. He will have learned the tactical nuances of playing against Marcelo Bielsa and how to adapt. Marcelo's got a really good record against brand new managers in whatever level he's managed at. So he'll learn. Whereas Thomas Frank is once again that comparative. He's played against Marcelo Bielsa teams several times now, hasn't he? And they've always been close games. They've either been defeats for Leeds or they've been draws for Leeds or narrow wins as well. So yeah, the last time, we played Brentford in a season, we didn't lose a game. We got a draw down at Griffin Park and we won at Ellen Road and Eddie Nketiah goal. And I do think we can get at this Brentford side. I think Leeds' performances will be elevated. I don't think they can be like they were against Crystal Palace, even though Crystal Palace was a good performance. We didn't create enough. We did not create enough chances. And that's going to be key in this game. Leeds United did control the game. We had the most possession. We had the most passes. We had the most shots. But where did those shots come from? We had a Rodrigo chance. We had Roberts, who really should have connected with something on the end of a Stuart Dallas cross. And we obviously had, the goal. So we need to fashion more chances. And with a fully fit Patrick Bamford, hopefully, and a fully fit Luke Ayling, we'll be able to do that. I don't think the lads are going to start, but even just an impact to boost off the bench when Leeds are maybe struggling to break Brentford down, which I think will be the case. I think Brentford are going to sit in, but I think at the same time they're going to make things difficult for Leeds. But I think they're going to press. I didn't think we saw a lot from Crystal Palace in that department, but every single time we've played Brentford, they've pressed. So we know Leeds do struggle with that a little bit. When we're pressed high up the field, it all then comes down to our possession. Can we retain possession? We saw, Brighton do it in the first half where they pressed extremely high. Leeds weren't able to get out. We weren't able to complete our patterns. We weren't able to complete our triangles. And essentially, Leeds were losing the ball left, right, and centre, and we weren't able to build from the back whatsoever. So we need to be aware that Brentford are going to come with a completely different style to Crystal Palace. For me, it's going to be a tougher game. It's going to be a tougher game. And I did think that after I saw the Palace lineup, I was quite surprised. They went very, very attacking, but they didn't really seem to have a foundation. Not taking anything away from Leeds. Brilliant win. Palace have actually done better than Brentford this year as well. They're in a better position than Brentford, so it's a fantastic win. But it's going to be a tough game, and I don't want Leeds fans to think just because we've beaten Palace, this is going to be a rollover. It's not. It's not. It's going to be a tough game. They've come off the back of a 2-0 win. They'll be hurt. They'll be ready to put that right. But you know, they've not been great. Brentford, you know, they've had what is it, four losses in the last 6 or 7. It's not been good for them at all. So aside from a win against Everton at home, who Everton are completely out of form as well, it's not been an exceptional couple of months for Brentford. So, but you know, when you're looking at it as well, they've got a decent away record, beating your likes of West Ham away from home, beating your likes of Wolves away from home as well. Got some really, really good draws. So I think actually away from home, they've got a better home than record than they have at home. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Ivan Toney, another specialist. He's going to be a real handful, a big lad who's going to take a lot of care in. He absolutely loves the physical battle. And it's going to be fascinating to see who goes directly up against him. You know, I don't want to see Diego Llorente marking him and being all over him in the box, which we have seen with Diego Llorente when it's come to physical strikers. I point to Mikel Antonio, where they'd have corners and Llorente be all over him. And if Antonio went down and started going up to the referee, as we saw the other night, VAR penalty all day long. So he needs to be sort of, you know, drop off maybe Ivan Toney, let him sort of win the aerial battles, but win the foot race with him. And I think that's where we can dominate the game, really. But yeah, it's going to be a fascinating contest. Pontus is returning. If he gets any boos, that's the weirdest thing I will ever have heard. He should not get any boos. He came to Leeds United in a time where we were rudderless. We had barely any passion within the ranks, and Pontus was fantastic. He was fantastic for Leeds, whatever you say, on the pitch. Loved celebratory tackles, celebratory goals, got some important goals as well, and was a real leader. Yeah, sometimes he had a bit of attitude, but for goodness sake, Leeds in that period, would we all not have had attitude? I would. I'd have had some right attitude, you know, and it all went wrong, didn't it? When we played Derby, we lost the game. And, you know, I think, you know, Pontus has got it in his locker where he's a bit of a stroppy git, but so am I. I was exactly the same when I played football. You know, I was a stroppy git. If my teammates didn't get to a certain level, if I wasn't happy, you'd throw your dummies out the pram a little bit. And I understand he's at the professional level, but I loved him at Leeds. I thought he was great for Leeds. And look, he's a Premier League footballer now. And I think he'll be a Premier League footballer for a couple of years as well. I don't think that's ever going to change. I think Brentford will stay up. And good luck to him. But I don't think, you know, I've heard some people saying they're going to boo him. Why? Why would you boo him? What's the point in that? Weird. So don't boo him. I'll be going down there as well. And I certainly will not be booing him. So, yeah, but I tell you what, in terms of a tactical perspective, I've mentioned this as well with Pontus. Who did he used to struggle with? Scott Hogan, Shea Adams, Billy Sharp, Eddie Nketiah. And what are the common themes with these sort of players? They're small, they're stocky, and they're quick. So this might not be the game where we throw Patrick Bamford in, because Pontus loves the physical battle. We know that. He absolutely loves the physical battle. Saw him earlier on. I know they lost 3-1 to Burnley away, but he was absolutely loving that battle with Chris Wood, his former teammate. He was thriving in it. So maybe it's not the game to throw Patrick Bamford in, and maybe Marcelo is thinking I'm going to play Dan James up front in terms of just that, because Pontus is definitely someone within this Brentford team who we can target, because we know his game, we know his attributes. Marcelo knows his attributes, knows exactly what he's about, and he always struggled against small, stocky strikers. There'll be people calling out for Gelhardt. I would start Joe Gelhardt in this game. I wouldn't start Tyler Roberts in this game. I thought Tyler was good the other night, but, you know, I'll be brutally honest with you guys, and we've mentioned it on the debrief. He was good, but, you know, it wasn't exceptional. He didn't have numerous chances. I thought he was coming back a little bit too much, to be quite honest with you. He wasn't really fulfilling that striker role for me. He was linking play well, and that's good. You know, he was being a dog. He was running himself into the ground, but that's the bare minimum I expect in a Marcelo Bielsa system. Maybe I'm just naive. But yeah, I thought he was good, but I don't think he was exceptional. I think there's a lot of people gassing him up as if he's got a 9, 10 out of 10 performance. You know, I think he's not a natural striker. I think you can see that with Roberts' performances. So, yeah, Joffrey'd start for me, Paddy to come on, but it's definitely an interesting tactical battle that could happen there. Small, stocky striker in and around Pontus. He always hated it. Neil Maupay was another one who he could not deal with him. short passes in and around the side. Janssen, because he's such a big lad, just really, really struggled. And Eddie Nketiah, when he came on at Ellen Road when we got that 1-0 victory, he couldn't handle him. And that's where the game changed and Leeds won it 1-0 with an Eddie goal. So it's definitely something to bear in mind from a tactical perspective at challenging Brentford in certain regards. But guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. Make sure you check out our sponsors as well. superleadsforex.com. You could start making money within the next 24 hours, guys. No previous trading experience needed at all, which I found massively beneficial. And with us, because it's with us, there's a risk-free 30-day trial available too. And you can get all that exciting info in the description below at superleadsforex.com. Finally, before I go, I'm going to give you a prediction. I'm going to go with Leeds United 1, Brentford 0. I'm going to go for it again. Third successive clean sheet. Guys, get your comments in the section below, and I'll see you in a bit.